What's your view on the overall market right now?
It's really, I think it's hard to make a statement on the overall market because it's really a bifurcated market. That we're finding a lot of really cheap stocks in a market that's hitting new highs, which is sort of an interesting dynamic. And a lot of the attention is to semiconductor memory chips, the IPOs that are coming, and a lot of attention has been taken away from, I would say, companies that people think are almost old-fashioned. Meta is an old-fashioned company today. Microsoft is an old-fashioned company today, and therefore they're less interesting. Or that's not where the excitement is. The result of that is, those stocks are very cheap.
Yeah.
So it's, we're finding a lot of cheap stocks, and query whether there's some overvalued ones, which of course there are.
2026 is an important year. We do see the stock market hitting new highs. This year we have the midterm elections and, of course, America's 250th and 50th birthday. Let's start with the midterms. Obviously, there are stocks that you're invested in as part of your strategy at Pershing Square. If we do see that typical volatility leading into those midterm elections, would that be a buying opportunity for you?
Could be. I would say more, and the market's got kind of two components to it. The ownership of stocks. You've got kind of this growing index ownership, which is an incredibly important phenomenon. Today, if you're not in the stock index, your valuation is going to be you have two companies. McDonald's, for example, is in the S&P 500. Restaurant Brands, which is Burger King and Tim Hortons and others, is not, because it's a Canadian company. It's not in the index. It has relatively limited index ownership. Arguably, it's growing faster. It's a more diversified business. You can make some arguments for why it should trade at a higher multiple than McDonald's, but it trades at a very significant discount. Why? Because it's not in the index. So you have more and more index capital, and that's become an increasingly important thing. And in addition to the stocks that are actually in the index, the actual ownership of index funds, there are a lot of investors who follow the index. And so huge amount of capital is in a very stable format, this sort of index ownership. And then there's also a lot of capital invested by so-called pod shops, Millennium and Citadel and others. So they've been taking on increasing amounts of capital, and they have much shorter term kind of mandates. And they're the marginal buyer and seller of many securities. And the result is really more volatility, because the way those models work is, you have very tight risk limits. And if, you're going to lose more than a certain amount of money, you're out. And what that leads to is even very big companies, the stocks can move dramatically if they miss a earnings expectation, or they change their guidance, or there's some news event. And you've seen a huge amount of volatility, and geopolitics adds to that volatility. And of course, midterm elections will be part of that volatility. I guess if there's a material surprise, like if the Senate, for example, were to tip to the left, I think that would be a pretty negative thing for markets.
Let's talk about America's 250th birthday, happening obviously on July 4th this year. What does that mean to you?
It's interesting. I turning 60, which I did, 250. Thank you. 250 years sounds pretty young as a country to me, right? It's like, a quarter of my lifespan. The country is only 4x my age, which I find something I didn't think about when I was 10, for example. Countries seem like pretty old. Now it seems like the American experiment is very young. So that's one sort of notable thing. And I think it's important we're around. And that what's kind of amazing is a bunch of relatively young guys, and there were generally guys back then, wrote the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and set up a system with free speech and Republican nature of government that's worked for all of our warts remarkably well over a quarter of 1,000 years. It's amazing.
While everyone is chasing AI and semiconductor stocks, billionaire investor Bill Ackman is looking somewhere completely different. Ackman says some of the world's biggest companies are being overlooked because investors are obsessed with the AI boom. Stocks like Meta, Google, Microsoft, and Amazon may not getting the same hype as chip makers, but Ackman believes they still look attractive relative to their long-term potential. It's a strategy that echoes what Warren Buffett did during the dot-com bubble. While investors piled into hot internet stocks, Buffett stayed patient, avoided the frenzy, and focused on businesses with strong fundamentals. History does not repeat exactly, but it often rhymes. The question is, are today's AI winners the next .com stocks, or the real bargains hiding in plain sight? Would you buy AI stocks at record highs or overlook tech giants? Let me know in the comment section.